Hello, my name is Alvin Manuel. I'm from IPMI Institute. I'm batch on 2021, and now I'm attending in business valuation merger acquisition class. Now it's time for me to share my article review from two articles that I read. Is the first is the why merger fails in 2001, and mergers acquisitions failures causes and an evidence-based approach in 2019. Let's get into it. So the first article is talking about why mergers fail, written by Bekir, M.A. Borgados, and T. Oldham. So what is it about? So the first is the article is talking about the critical role of the revenue growth in the success of mergers, arguing that many companies falter to prioritizing cost and synergies over revenue generation. So this article is study from certain Methodist University, which found that only 36% of companies maintained their revenue growth in the first quarter after a merger announcement. So with this number dropping to just 11% by the third quarter, indicating a significant slowdown in performance. We'll see in the graph itself. So after that research that happened in certain Methodist University, McKinsey research are trying to find out more, and happens that only 12% of 160 acquisitions that McKinsey research doing managed to accelerate growth significantly in the following 3 years, with many acquirers experiencing organic growth rates lower than their industry peers. For this, you can see in the graph that see that post-merger acquisition revenue growth in the X and the pre-merger revenue growth in the Y. You see when there was a minus pre-merger revenue growth into the plus post-merger revenue growth, they call it players accelerate because they are accelerating the revenue growth. They are not really much. Then in this point of 0 to 0 in the y, 0 in the x, also to 1 and -1. So this happened that only 12% is above, like the great earners unveils, the players accelerate and solid performance slowdown. There's so much companies that doesn't benefit any mergers acquisitions as a benefit, because you can see this so many dots is like the acquisitions method. So the dots is acquisition. So many acquisitions happened that they do have 0 to 1 revenue growth, but in the post-merger revenue growth, they also ranging into 1 to -1. So there doesn't have any significant revenue growth after or before acquisitions. So we can see this. The revenue is really not really seen in here after and before the acquisition. So revenue fluctuation can have a more substantial impact on the mergers of those on the merger success that cost savings. Not noting that 1% shortfall in the revenue growth necessitates 25% higher cost savings to keep the merger on track. So like I see in the graph itself, the revenue growth 0 to 5, they're still fairly destroyed even when the cost savings are 5%, is showing that one revenue growth are equals to 5% cost savings. Cost savings at 5% revenue growth. So it's happened that the successful acquirers focus on protecting revenue and generating growth immediately after a merger, while those that overly concentrate on cost-saving risk being outpaced by competitors. So that's all from the first article that's saying that revenue growth is very important. The revenue growth is frequently overseen than the cost saving, that people is showing that cost saving is very important than revenue growth, but revenue growth is also important also. The second article we go, the mergers and acquisitions failures and causes, an evidence-based approach 2019, written by Siddiqui Mohd Abdul Moid and Farouk Ayesa from Aligarh Aligarh Muslim University from India. So what is it about? What is the article about? Merger and acquisition failure rates are significantly high, with estimated ranging from 50 to over 80% globally, depending on the study. This failure is often attributed to the inability to achieve expected synergies or financial gains. So this is already, I would say, the situation on it, the situation from the research. So what are the key causes of this? What are the key causes that happening that making the 50 to 80% merger acquisition is not really successful? The first is the human resource and culture. It's happening the mismanagement of the employee issues, cultural crisis, and lack of communication during post-merger integration and recurring challenge. So there are so many challenges in merger and acquisition, and one of them is human resources. Because human resource are one of the assets of the company, the one that generating money. So if you have the mismanagement of the employee issues, there was a cultural crisis if you are doing merger and acquisitions. And if there's a problem, there's lack of communication that happening is very challenging. The second is strategic planning. The poor initial planning and unrealistic expectations will lead to the operational inefficiency. If you don't have a planning, if you don't have realistic expectations to set up the goals, there is a inefficient operational planning because people tend to be lower in motivation if they don't have any clear goal, they don't have any planning. The third is integration challenges. Issues such as an unplanned or slow integrations, organizational misfit, and management differences impede success. For example, if there was a what we call it Bank Mandiri mergers, there was a four state-owned mergers that happening in 1998 in Indonesia. There was the challenges for the four banks to become one is the integration challenge because back then people perceived that there are still four banks now. It's still the same. It's just changing their name. It's not really quite impactful in that. So these are the challenges also, because the mergers and acquisitions are one of their point is to become the one new entities of the mergers of if the acquisitions, the one entities become one to another related acquisition. So the challenge is in here that if Monday doesn't get into the integration challenges that overcome the integration that they are using what we call it the cultural approach, they are having the culture of all the employee on the Mandiri, they doesn't perform well until now. But they are performing now. They're showing that integrations is one of the key of the merger and acquisition. The fourth and the last is the psychological and behavioral factors. Employee anxiety, resistance to change, and management turnover negatively affect performance. If employee anxiety is higher and they doesn't want to change, then people just go out and then yes, very not really efficient. It will be affect the performance of the companies. So that's why psychological and behavioral factors is very important here. So if you see that the four key factors in here is all from non-financial aspect. So what is it about? The recommendation from the article. So there's all the what we call it, factors that happening that cause that 50 to 80% merger and acquisition have failed, not really as successful, is the importance of the addressing human factors. This human factor is really important, not only the financial aspect, but also the human factor is very, really important. The effective integration is really important also. When you have the numbers, you have the good number, outrageous number, you have a very beautiful number, but if the operation is not good, the integration is not really happening, there's no point you have the merger and acquisition. And the last thing is the comprehensive pre-merger planning. You have the planning of the pre-merger. You have the planning to integrate. You have planning to have a good, efficient communication. You have the planning to have the more efficient operational and cost saving and revenue growth and etc. That's really important in the pre-merger planning because you have the pre-merger planning, you have the merger and acquisition itself, and after you do the integration, you do the pre-merger planning already does, you do the plan, and that to improve the success of the rate of the M&A activities. So the overall, this article, this research is aimed to provide insights to reducing M&A failures by focusing on both financial and non-financial aspect, particularly the human and cultural dimension, because humans is the one that human is assets. If you're an employee, the assets not only your building, not only your machinery, but also the one that think about it. You're also the one that really working about it. It's called the human capital. And the cultural, because the environment of the companies are building to, like I said, like we see that the environment, the positive environment, the fair growth environment is boosting the human capital to do more and more better, to do more and more efficient. If you have a good culture, if you have a good system in your company, you have a good culture, you have a good, like I said, communication, you have a very effective M&A operation. M&A operation is sizing up your company. You have a merger, you become one, or you're taking one. You have a big enough your size. You have a big enough your size. You have with this big powers come with the big responsibility, as the Spider-Man said. When you have a big power, the human is also big. It means that there was a far different cultural dimension. There's a very different human that they become one vision and they become one system, become one effective players is very important in mergers and acquisitions. The sudden change is very important. The transitions from the change one to another to having a good transition, smooth transitions, knowing that this is very important, this is very effective, showing that it's really important to take that risk, to take that, to overlook the human factors, not only in the financial factors. So both the financial and non-financial factors are really important in here in the M&A failures, M&A merger and acquisitions happen in here. So that's all from me. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for paying attention. If you like this video, then you can subscribe to my channel. If you are not, it's okay. Give a like, give a comment, and also I hope I can see you in another event. Thank you.